well, we'll get started. I know, thank you so much for being here. I know some of you had huge drives to come out here today, and it means so much to us and the team that you take the time to do this. And hopefully, you enjoy your goodie bags and online. Thank you for coming here today. My name is Dr. Emily Berg. I'm the director of Dual Enrollment, and I want to.
Oh. You need to disconnect with audio if you're joining. Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry. Okay. There we go. Oh, no reverberation. Okay. Awesome. So today we've got an agenda of things we can look at, and we'll be sharing the PowerPoint with you at a later time. So the first thing I want to do, besides welcoming you, is introduce our team. So Stephen, and our team will all introduce themselves. You'll tell us your name, your role, and then I didn't tell you what's going but your favorite thing about Dual Enrollment.
Oh, well, my name is Stephen Carroll. I am a counselor with Dual Enrollment, and my favorite thing is the collaboration that I have with all of you, my high school instructors, facilitators. I love that interaction.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. I am Vicki Martinez, coordinator with Dual Enrollment. And my favorite is to give opportunities to young students to get the opportunity to do college and to know that, yes, they can do it. Okay, I'd like to say I didn't hear the question because I was focused on this chat. Yeah, that is my favorite opportunity that we offer.
Your name?
I'm sorry, my name is Kathy Tretta. I'm a counselor with Dual Enrollment, and I love this college.
And your credit card number?
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Fran. I'm office assistant, and I study support everyone in as much as I can.
Excellent. I think Janine is directing traffic, so we'll have you meet her in just a bit. And we'll talk more about her and her super important role. So I wanted to make sure that we started with the goal statement for the Chancellor's Office. And I didn't purposely tell you what my favorite thing about Dual Enrollment was, because in our last newsletter, we had an interview with Stephanie, and she had some beautiful things to say about Dual Enrollment. We'll be going to different districts and different schools and highlighting different individuals. But what she said about the best thing regarding Dual Enrollment is the opportunity that we're providing our students. And so that's wonderful. She said that the students leave high school with a significant number of college units and the confidence and beliefs that they can be college students, because this is my annotation, because they are. Right? So that's definitely grounds us in the work that we're doing. And that's what the Chancellor's Office is saying, that this CCAP program is intended for groups who are historically underrepresented. So it's good for us to remember that why of what we're doing. We're providing opportunities to students where they may not have already have had that opportunity. And that's my favorite thing about Dual Enrollment. Speaking of Janine, would you introduce yourself to the group, please?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Janine Markland. I work in the College Relations Office here at Fresno City College, and I'm just beginning my journey with the HSC. So I will be your contact if there are questions on the HSC, as well as I have teamed with Josie. So if you do have questions, I am a part-timer, so I'm not there all the time. I'm there Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, but Josie is there Monday through Friday. So if I'm not there, someone can help. So please be free to reach out to us, and we'll help you where we can.
Excellent. Yes. And so this is part of the meeting here today was to announce that we're now the Office of Early College. So we're taking the high school enrichment under as well as the CCAP. So we're joining together, and it's very exciting since it makes sense that a lot of you have worked with two different offices before with your students doing high school enrichment and CCAP. So it makes sense to have that all under one umbrella. And we wanted to spend a few minutes to just talk about the differences between the two. And of course, it has to do with how the students are identified, right? With the CCAP, who initiates the process. Well, this is your guys' high schools and your high school alternative programs. You identify the cohort of the students, the courses, the pathways. In terms of high school enrichment, is the student initiated. They're choosing that, hopefully in consultation with you all, right? In terms of where the courses are held, for CCAP, of course, that's on the high school pathway and high school enrichment. They can be taken here in evening times in the summer at Fresno City College or online on their own. Certainly CCAP, we know, are offered during the school day, right? That's legislated. And then the CCAP or the high school enrichment, this is according to the Fresno City College schedule. In terms of eligibility or who the classmates are, who's in the class, CCAP classes, we're allowed to close classes, right? And then for high school enrichment, they're in with the general population. So they may be the only one who's in that class who's a high school student. And then, of course, in terms of when is the registration, we'll go into much more detail about that in the next couple of slides. But students in CCAP are registered before the class begins. That's the best practice. And then with high school enrichment, they can register during the open registration. And Jenny, do you have the dates off the top of your head for the open registration? Okay.
Yeah, they're not, because I'm sorry, I apologize.
Okay. Well, our schedule just went live yesterday for fall and for summer. I believe for summer, the packets are not, that's the date. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and the applications are due 2
weeks prior.
2 weeks.
And that's just for processing, because you all have to remember it is a special admit. They are not considered general population students. And so in order to meet the requirements and the obligations of the policies of state and federal, we have to make sure.
And as we go along, including the folks who are joining us online, as you have questions that are good for the general population, then please raise your hand, let us know, drop a question into the chat, and we'll try to make this interactive. Yes, ma'am.
Nothing has changed with the high school enrichment registration forms. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. So same thing with the form.
Yes. You may be talking about the virtual dual enrollment hub, right, which is a difference.
Yeah, I'm just making sure that going into meetings with juniors that I'm offering the summer, fall, high school enrichment classes, that the packet I give them is the right one.
We changed the organization of the website just a little bit. You may have noticed that. And before, when you went under admissions, it would say high school enrichment, dual enrollment, and we put it under Urban College. And then you go in the main page, it's got this, the chart that we saw with the differences between the two to help guide the students and ourselves. And then it has the links for the CCC apply application, step by step there for both the two populations. And then that's where you go in to find more information about high school enrichment. And the application is up to date.
And if you are having the students doing their applications, they can save it as a PDF, because then that way we can transition it into our system more simply. But if they can't,
That's my, I sway when I'm there.
Magic. Stephen, take it away.
Okay, so if you've been with dual enrollment for any length of time, you know that it's constantly changing, and then pandemic hit and it really changed, and now we're out of pandemic and it's changing again. So it used to be just a two-step process, right? We had the online application and then we had the registration form. Well, now it's a three-step process. We have the online application, we have the AB 30 forms, and then we have the batch enrollment. And so a lot of this is going to be reviewed for you if you've already done it this past semester, but we do have updates. So that's why we do this every semester to let you know what is changing. So the online application. So you already know this, that if a student is going from one semester to another, they don't need to re-enroll online for the next semester. So once they're enrolled, as long as they're continuously enrolled, they don't have to do another application. A student who misses 2 or more primary semesters, that is a spring or a fall, then they do need to complete the online application again. And so the resources that you have as far as the online application, you'll have this PowerPoint. And we also placed a step-by-step PowerPoint into your teams. We're not going to go through the application screen by screen this time. We're just going to highlight the main things to watch out for that we see problems with every single semester. But you'll have this PowerPoint, the other PowerPoint with step-by-step. You'll have the model registration form in Teams. And then if you go to the dual enrollment website, there is right by the application button, there's also a link to the step-by-step guide.
So you want to tell them about the cool PowerPoint that you created, that we've uploaded in Teams that they can use at their sites with the students that has that step-by-step.
Yeah, if you saw our presentation last semester, we went through the application step by step. What we did was we took that portion of the presentation and made it its own presentation. And we did place it into your team site under resources. Yeah, so you'll have access to that. Okay. All right, so really important things to watch out for on the online application. Remember that the students will want to select the option that says high school enrichment, dual enrollment. So when they're applying for this coming fall semester, you know, the first choice usually says fall 2023. Please don't let them pick that. They'll get a bill in the mail. It needs to say high school enrichment, dual enrollment for fall. And then another problem that a lot of students forget to do is they think they're first-time students. They are not first-time students. They are enrolling in high school and college at the same time. Super important. And that's what it says on the drop-down list. Enrolling in high school or lower grade and college at the same time. Make sure they select that one. And then they need to select I attended high school. So this is important for, let's say, juniors becoming freshmen. They might think, oh, I didn't attend high school. I was in junior high. This question is really asking, what high school will you be getting dual enrollment credit from? So they must select, I attended high school, and they need to select the high school in which they will be dual enrolled. So if, let's say, a student is in the fall semester will be attending McLean, but they had gone to Sunnyside the previous semester. Well, when it said I attended high school, they don't want to pick Sunnyside. They want to pick the school that they will be dual enrolled in.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify that. I hope I didn't make that muddy for you. And some students are homeschooled. But even though they were homeschooled, they still want to select. I attended high school, and the high school they're going to select is the high school that they're getting the dual enrollment credit from. Any questions on that? Okay. Yes, Stephanie.
I ask this every time and I forget the answer every time.
Yeah,
Well, I'm gonna ask it again.
that's okay.
In the event that the student is typing in the school and it doesn't populate, which happens pretty regularly. And it's kind of a frustration point. What is our best course of action? Because at that point, I want to be like, they want to keep moving forward with the application. And I want them to finish the application.
Sometimes they do it too quickly. You know,
Even
it's a
when we
really
type slow, it's
really
thinking about the name of her school.
Well, he was shaking his head too, so maybe.
Yes, well, I have the same issue.
Okay, maybe it's not just the name of high school.
What they should not do is select California high school because of high students.
Right.
Every year.
So I guess my question is, what would be the policy or the procedure that we all share in that same situation so that we know that you all have the information you need to be able to go find that student and put them to our school roster or report? Like, is it take down their name and then send it to someone?
Finish the application, just have the student finish the application. We do a lot of cleanup on the back end, right? For all those California high school students, that's part of the work that we all do to make sure these students are put in the correct high school, right? It is a pain, there is cleanup, but let us know if, that's why we run those 80 forms reports too, right? So for your high school, it'll list all the students who are there. Let us know if you don't see people on that report, we can go in and change the coding on the back end, so that it's the correct.
So what information would you need and who do we send it to?
Send it to our office, the dual enroll,
Okay.
or, you know, do it through Teams, probably better to upload there, because you're gonna have the student ID number. And then,
Wow.
Gotcha, I'm thinking, okay. So the name.
Birthday.
And the birthday.
Name, search.
Okay, and so name and birth date of the students who.
Yeah, yep, and we can run a report for the California high school and then we'll find it and then make sure that it's.
Just for those of you, just so you know, I did bring this up to CCI, especially in the last few rounds that we've done, where the names aren't showing up. We know you're typing it in, and they know you're typing it in, so they tell me we have had a lot of calls throughout California, so it's not just you, it does happen, but CCC Apply is aware that it's happening. So you're not alone, but yes, I would absolutely want the name and the birthday so we can search our help you.
And
Yeah.
the CCC Apply ID number,
Confirmation, yeah.
confirmation number, the ID number.
Yeah.
CCTV number.
CCTV
When they
ID
get
number,
on the
yeah.
portal, it'll come up and they should always keep that.
Yeah, that's very helpful because when we go into the CCC Apply system, that's how they find the students a lot faster.
So name, date of birth, and CCC ID number.
If they,
Or they would just.
it's just for practice, tracking purposes because the AFR office, that Josie will contact. Then they will have to contact the state and and then try and track it down. Because we have several students.
No, it's not just me.
No, it's our district's really quick about changing those.
Anxious.
I just want to make sure that the information is clear, right?
It's accurate, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Alyssa, did you have a question?
Lynette, can you hear us? pretty good?
No. Is my hand raised?
I can hear you.
Okay,
And that says.
all right, are we ready to move on?
Yes.
Let's go. Okay, so that was step one, right? The online application process. And now we're moving on to step two, which is the student reports and AB 30 forms. So in your teams, you will be provided with the student list with the student ID numbers of properly completed college applications. So Stephanie, if they weren't able to put in C-Tech High School, they are not going to be listed on this report. And that's when you know that you've got to let us know what's going on. So, and then we'll upload the list into a folder called exclamation point FCC reports. That exclamation point keeps the folder at the top, just so it doesn't get hidden down below. So you'll get the student list and you'll use that list to complete the AB 30 form. Here's the new AB 30 form. Now, you may recall last semester you had to have page 1 and page 2. Now all the necessary information is on one page. So this is the only page you need to give us. But make sure it's complete. Fill out, don't leave anything empty. If you do, we have to kick it back, and it's just a waste of time. And the name needs to match what the student placed into CCC ID. I mean, CCC Apply, that's what I meant. Yeah, make sure it's the same. And you also note that the street address, now it's more clear that this is the student's street address, not the high school's address. The start term and end term, make sure you include the student's entire high school career. So if they're starting in fall 2023, you would put fall 2023, and then the end term would be when they graduate as senior. So it would be spring 2027. So make sure you include their entire high school career. If they are seniors and they're taking just one last class, well, then it could be the same, spring 2023, spring 2023, that's all that's needed, Stephanie.
I'm excited about the one-page form.
We heard you.
Second question, or maybe statement. So is there a spot, or can there be a spot on this form for the student to put in their CID number? Because one of the issues that we run into, at least at our school site, is that the vast majority of our students fill this out in 9th grade, which means that they fill it out but don't yet have it. Getting their ID number back is a struggle. But if I had that reference.
So that would be internally helpful to you. I think that's fine to add that field somewhere on there. So a note to yourself, so you've got that.
So I can add it,
Yeah.
and write it in and
Yeah.
then make copies.
Yeah, and also it is fillable. So you can, I mean, we've got the 80-30 form, you've got the data that you need, you can do a merge on it. And if you want, you can print it out and give it to the kid to sign, because we do see a lot of, the birthday gets flip-flopped or whatnot, because the rest of the world does that, right? Or they put some information that's erroneous, right? So you can do the quality control on your end to auto-populate that information in. You can even get the Adobe sign. That's fine to have the Adobe sign, because Myrna wants it to be authenticated, right? So it's okay to do that, as long as it's not that, verified by, yeah.
And mail merging really helps. I manage 200 classes, and we like to add the teacher name, the time and the period on the top, because it helps us track.
Right.
And if you're doing something like that, mail merges is really helpful.
So what this means is a one-time form, right? So the student is coded in the back end and colleague. So that's when we run the 80-30 reports, then you will be able to see that, yes, that is taken care of, and you don't need to do this again.
Yeah, just to emphasize for everyone who's new, this is only done one time for the student for their entire high school career. Make sure you have all the signatures. Again, if a student, yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Because I work with 2 different colleges, is one form good for both, or do I have to do 2 different colleges?
You want to check with them. Yeah.
So if a student is 18 years old, they don't need a student signature, they don't need a parent signature, but can you please put in here, the student is over 18? That way we're not kicking it back. Oh, we need, of course we have the birthday, but it's just easier if you put in here, student is over 18, then it's quicker that way. And then when you name this file, we have a naming convention so that it's easier to find. Do the student last name, their first name, and their FCC ID number. And please don't submit this with anything missing, because we can't forward it otherwise. Any questions on this form at all?
For the high school official signature, do you guys want that to be authenticated by us as well, or would it be okay for us just to type that portion and then student parent? It's like,
well, I think it asks you.
Yeah, signature, if that's what works best for you guys, but if you do a digital sign, then it needs to be verified.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. Myrna, by the way, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this, our admissions and records director is coming at 5. So if there are specific questions for her, she'll say hello.
Okay, so you know that now we're not used to do it by email, right? Now we're not doing the email, we're doing it in Teams. So you should have access to the SEC Dual Enrollment application Teams. So you'll go in there. Nothing should remain in the teams. So if you're working on a draft copy of an AB30 form or a batch enrollment form or whatever, keep that out of here. Whatever you put in here should be 100% complete and ready to process. And then once we've processed it, we'll be taking it out of Teams. Nothing will remain in there. Is that clear? So if you want copies of everything, you need to have a copy for yourself on your system. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Any questions on this, on Teams?
So the way that you will know the AB30 form reports that we run for you, right? We last semester we had the repository of the forms, and there was lots of confusion about that. Some people were putting new forms into the process forms. So nothing is going to hang out there. And you'll know that it has been received. We'll run another AB30 form and you'll see that they're coded yes.
All right. Okay, so the way you'll do it is you'll go to your district. I don't know if you guys can see everyone else's district. You can only see yours, right? Okay, so you would click on your district and you would click on files. And then if there are multiple schools in your district, you would click on your high school and place them in a folder called AB30 forms and rosters. And then you tag us to notify us that they're there. That way, you know, we're alerted that you just uploaded something. Okay, and so this showed, oh, okay, so once we get the files from you, if there are problems with those AB30 forms, there's going to be a folder that says AB30 problem forms, and we will throw it in there and we will notify you that there's an issue with it. And the way you'll know what the issue is in the notes. Okay, so when you look at the file, there will be a notes section, and in the notes, it will tell you what's wrong with that specific file. Any questions on that? Okay, now this is step 3, the actual registration process. Now, hopefully this last semester, you know, since we received so many AB30 forms, you shouldn't have as many to do this semester, except for freshmen. You know, you'll have to do the freshmen or any new ones. Okay, so as you know, we register students by means of batch enrollment. And we encourage you to try to get everybody batch enrolled, because later on, if class starts and we have to drop students, add students, it takes longer, it's a hassle. So if you can make sure that you have your rosters complete, that's super helpful. The white section is for you, and then the gray section is for FCC. Yes?
Question, going back to the reports, you tell us if the student completed the application. Will you also be able to tell us if the student completed an AB30 form, or are you keeping track of those too?
It will say on the report, yes or no. There's a column on there that says AB30 or CCAP or something.
Okay.
Yeah, and it'll say yes. If it says no, then please don't place any students on this roster that has not been cleared and on the student list. If the student is not on the student list that we give you, please don't put them on this roster, because we can't submit. It needs to be fixed. So whoever you put on here, you know 100% that the AB30 form has gone through and that it says yes on the AB30 list that we give you. That makes sense?
So the exciting thing about the rosters, okay, so we've got vast majority of your AB30 forms in, we're looking this way. So the rosters means these students, if they're on the roster, will be registered before the class begins. That's the good news. It's a fast process for admissions and records to enroll from the batch. Once we get After the class started and the rosters have already been backfilled, then we have to go to individual registration, and that's where you see the slowdown. Right, which is unfortunate because that's when, if you're trying to get a student after the classes begins, that means they don't have access to Canvas if it's a taught by an SEC instructor, so everything kind of gets backed up. So as much as you heaven and earth, we can move to get these rosters together so that these students are in before the class begins and they can start right from.
Okay, oh, sorry.
No, just that it's individually registered after the batch registration. So each student is just like going back to the registration form that we used to use, that we don't talk about it anymore, but that's how slow the process then becomes.
Okay, and then here's a change for this coming semester. Please take note that we used to allow multiple tabs for different course sections. No more. One file per course. Don't have any other sections in the file. So you're going to name the file according to the school course name and section number and the semester year. So here's an example. Your school, Bullard, let's say Bullard English 1A, section 36, 523, and then fall, it would be fall 2023 for this coming semester. So that's what you'd name this file, and that's the only roster that should exist in that file.
The reason why we did this is because it was, if you had multiple sections for the state, then we had to hold up for one class. There's always that one class, right? So once you give it, then you can send it and then we don't hold up the entire school because of the one class that we're controlling. This should help expedite things as well.
So even if it's the same course with different section numbers, we cannot.
Let's separate them. It's in your best interest to do that. It's a little bit of extra work for you, but then when you get it done, then you can submit it. And if it's helpful, I know some of you, I think Maria in particular, you want to add the teacher name to help you guys on your end, that's fine. Okay. But at bare minimum, let's get that high school name as the first letter with the section number.
Okay, and so for the fall, upcoming fall, we're expecting to have these rosters submitted into your teams by May 12th. That's the deadline that we've set. Yes. Wait, okay, it's.
I only laugh at the one, like, I think that's manageable for anybody that's not a freshman. But if you're doing dual enrollment for anybody's freshman, I don't think that's a realistic deadline.
So we'll work with you. Yeah, right.
This is our dream, okay, this day, our dream.
10 through 12.
Rita, two questions.
Yes, on the naming convention, do you need the .xls on the end of it?
Oh, well, Excel will put that on there. I mean, we're expecting Excel rosters, right? This is just the extension. Oh, I see, because it's in quotes?
Yeah. Because the extension is usually.
After, yeah, okay, so I'll fix the slide for next time.
I was just wondering.
Okay, any questions on this? Because this was new last semester and we're revising it for next semester. So if you have any questions, now's the time to ask. Does anybody online have any questions in the chat, maybe?
There's a concern that they're concerned about the May 12th. And which is not different than the December deadline but the difference is the master's schedules, right? Yeah. So let us know when you have issues and we'll address those individually. The more that we can get in by that time, the better.
Can I have a follow-up question to that. This is Katie from Hoover. I kind of know who my students are going to be. And I was planning to do like this late May, like early June, just to get their online portion done. I don't know that, just in case something happens to their schedule that they aren't in that class the following year, we can pull them. I would rather like do all the work when earlier rather than later.
Katie, I love your thinking. Yes. Yes.
I just want to make sure that we can pull them and it doesn't hurt them either way.
Well, then you mean like drop them if we.
Yeah, well, I think I would do, it would be hard for me to turn in the AB 30 form. Because I think these are all new students. They'll be juniors or they'll be seniors, and I don't think they've had a dual enrollment class before. So that's why I'm saying I would like to do most of the work and then just turn in the AB 30 form like early August.
If it's possible, Katie, the form is what's gonna really hold up. So if you can, there's some school sites, I'm not gonna name names, but they're making this part of their registration process. Okay, so you have dual enrollment information nights in the spring. If you're thinking about dual enrollment, get it on file. And some schools have decided to just keep them on file for when, and if the student wants to go forward with it, they have it ready, get the student in CCC apply. So if you can, especially for your site starting later, right, Katie? If you can, before you leave, before the summer break, to get the AB 30 form in and the rosters as much as you know, and then we go to the individual registration after that point that Stephen's going to talk about in just a second.
Okay, thank you.
Question with the form, because I do have one school site moving forward with giving it out in the 8th grade registration. How one out of 7. We're working on with them filling it out their 8th grade year. This particular school site, they don't take our classes till they're either junior, sophomore, junior year or junior, senior year. How old? Because they do have to date them. Are you okay with forms that are 2 years old, or are you gonna want like a?
Let's check in with Myrna.
Okay.
Section 1.
Yeah. She's like, I got to work around for this.
Yeah, that's just my question, because I mean, I would love to do it.
Yeah.
But unless the district tells me, hey, we want to do, because this one district said we want to do this,
Right.
this way, which is great because it works better for me.
Mhm.
But I can't tell the district, hey, we need to do this.
Yeah.
'Cause they have their whole process on.
And that makes you unique. Yeah.
And some of our school districts are now doing online registration. They're not doing paper anymore. So everything's completely done online. Which
is great.
it is.
And it's not.
Exactly.
So the long and short of it is let's do as much as we possibly can so that we don't come back with school starting up and the craziness that is, right? And try to get the students in at that point. So as much as we can in the spring, I think we will all be in a better situation. The students will be better served for it. There's always going to be bids that you want to add in August. That's fine. We'll take care of it. But if we get the majority in beforehand, we'll all be better for it.
So just to emphasize, the AB 30 form can be done year round, whenever you want. The rosters need to be submitted by May 12th. The online application for fall begins April 1st, and it's the same every year, April 1st, October 1st for the next semester. So you can put that on your calendar, and that's how it happens every year. Oops. Okay, so let's say the first day of class starts and you have students that you weren't able to get onto the batch enrollment, then after day 1, we can't change the rosters. Oh, and by the way, when you put your rosters into teams, again, no draft copies. So when you put the roster into teams, don't add students or subtract students from them. Once you put it into teams, you are telling us it's done, it's ready to process. Okay, so any draft copies, keep it out of teams. Okay, so but after day 1, we will place an add drop spreadsheet into teams. It's going to have 2 tabs, one that says add, one that says drop. And so if in college, it's not like high school where you transfer students to another class. If if let's say you want to take a student, move them from one section to another section of class, we can't transfer them. You must put them on the drop them from whatever class you enrolled them in, and then add them to the add sheet for whatever class you're wanting to add them in. You have to do both. You can't just email us and say, hey, can you move the student from this class to this class? Doesn't work that way. And we have a note here, it will slow down registration. Please try to avoid using the add drop after day one. Let's see. Adhere to drop deadlines. So you know that census day happens at the end of week 3 of a normal 18-week semester. So check the rosters, and if you need to drop any students, please make sure you drop them before the end of week 3. That way it just goes away from their transcript. They won't get a W, they won't get anything. The college roster. So, and then we have color coding here. So let's say you add a student on this form right here. Well, if it remains white, it means we haven't touched it yet. If there's a problem with it, we will highlight it yellow. And then we'll put in the comments what's wrong with that student. Maybe we don't have their AB34, or maybe whatever. It's gonna be right here. But once you put it in here, we will send it to A&R, and then if A&R process, once we give it to A&R, then we will color code it green, and then you will know that we've processed it. So
this is to avoid all the messages back and forth that got lost in Teams.
I love this.
Yeah.
yeah, so this is new. This is something else that's new.
I start printing on it. Okay. Thank you. So when the batch rosters, you put them in, that means good to go. And then we're not gonna let them hang out that long. We'll pull them out. And we'll get them going to it to A&R. The kind of odd thing about batch registration is, especially for instructors, right? We get a lot of nervousness, like there's no one on my roster, this is me, because it's all or nothing, right? So nothing gets enrolled, and then you'll see the numbers and everybody's okay, right? Got them in. And then after that point, then we'll go to this individual. So you won't see this until after we start to get the rosters from you and additional students coming.
Yeah, I mean, this last semester, we had so many instructors panicking, getting to first day of class. Oh, there's no students on my roster. What's going on? Are they going to cancel the class? So if you could do the batch enrolling as soon as possible, it's super helpful to.
And this semester, we saw it was extraordinary in terms of volume with the AB30 and how backed up admissions and records was with getting the rosters in. So that's not something, I mean, the whole reason we went to this process was to expedite so that we all feel better that the students are in the course. So we should not be seeing that. And it was Friday and class started Monday, right? So before we leave for Christmas break, I want the kids enrolled, right? That's where I want things to be. So we're working on it.
And this drop process, the drops could be done by the instructor, like before the end of week 3, the instructor can drop, or you can let us know. And if you need to drop a student, we need all of this filled out. We need their name, their student ID number, the reason for the drop, the date of the drop, the course section number, the last date of attendance. Yeah, don't leave any blanks. That's what we're saying. Don't leave any blanks. Any questions on the add drop process?
We tell the instructors in our instructor training, like, don't drop the students on your own without making sure the counselors know. Right? So some of them feel better with it going through our office. So in your districts, you can give them advice on how you want, of course, this to happen. But the instructors can drop them, and we tell them
So do it without talking to counselors.
Okay, so important dates. So here's a timeline. In January, and since it's my job, I'm going to emphasize this. We need ISAs by day one. The instructor service agreement, every instructor must sign this agreement every single semester. I know it's tedious, but please get that to us before day one of class. Also, every instructor needs to complete their simple syllabus. The syllabus needs to be done by day one. That's a contract between the instructor and the student, and the students need to have the agreement and what the class is all about. So please remind your instructors to have that by day one. Also, we will place a report of important dates in the teams. And then by week 3, as we mentioned earlier, high school vetted instructors must certify their rosters. That's super important. All right, in February, new vetted applications are due by February 1st. So if you have any instructors that want to teach dual enrollment, we need all of their information by February 1st. Then in March, which is where we're at, we have coordinators training. And then we should be getting our course section from the divisions. Yes.
Question, the February 1st deadline, is that for the fall or is that for the spring? Is it for the whole year? Fall. Fall?
For fall, yeah.
And what's the deadline for spring? For spring, okay.
Okay, and then in April 1st, again, that's when registration always starts for the fall semester and for the summer semester. April 1st. Also in April is when we're going to have our instructor training. So if you have any new instructors, that's when we'll be presenting for them. And also AB 30 forms for fall, those are due by the end of April. And then in May, rosters, as I mentioned, are due by May 12th. And then, of course, instructors need to submit their grades and attendance on the last date of the course.
Keisha had a question, deadline for spring. Keisha, which deadline for teachers or students? Oh, teachers. For spring, February, September, I'm sorry. September 1st.
Yeah, we're going over spring. I'll get to the fall here in a minute. Yeah. Okay, and so then AB 30 forms, you mentioned this, they can be submitted at any point in advance of the deadline. And please consider making it part of the workshops, for spring and fall for students. Okay, now we're going to go over fall dates. So in August, again, ISAs are due before day one. The simple syllabus is due by all your instructors by day one. We will provide a report of important course dates and teams. And again, week 3, instructors must certify their rosters. September is when new vetted applications are due, September 1st. And we also have a second coordinators training in September. October 1st, every October 1st is when enrollment begins. And then we'll be getting the course section numbers, hopefully. And then in November, AB 30 forms are due for the spring. By November 17th this year, that we need to get it in before the holidays start, because then people go on vacation. So this is before Thanksgiving. So if you could get them in before then. And then the high school enrichment packets, the signed packets are due 2 weeks prior to the start of instruction. That was mentioned earlier. Any questions? The timeline of things?
So the September 1st for vetted instructors, that's if they want to be vetted for the spring.
Right, is there a new?
Right, okay, so, February and September.
Yeah.
In December what?
December, we want to cover it.
Oh, did I miss December? I sure did. Okay, so in December, the rosters are due December 1st. And then I have the vetted teacher training again in December. Then I have facilitator training. And I should have put over here facilitator training in August. And then instructors submit their grades and attendance on the last day of class. Yes.
Question. Now, I know you answered this for me previously. I just want to make sure it didn't change.
Since we're recording.
So I know that CCC Apply opens up October 1st and the class has always been, and we had a conversation about could we start earlier? Is that still the case?
That is still the case.
Yeah, perfect.
Students can apply to the college, is that what you mean? Always,
Complete their college application
every day.
for the spring semester. Can we, before it was restricted to only, it opens up in October, on October 1st.
So Maria, there are other schools asking the same question. Our admissions and records director has not been okay with that before. She will be here today. So maybe we can ask her that to clarify it, just because I'm hearing that from other schools too. And I'm like, when did that change? So we can ask her.
With her that is okay to do.
We can ask her.
Because it's the 2 or more consecutive semesters. So if I applied for spring and I didn't start the classes until fall, that's not more than 2 consecutive.
Got it. So if they apply for fall, but they don't start for spring.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so any other questions, timeline? Okay, so we're gonna talk about college course requirements. So if you're thinking about what classes, if they have high school requirements. So if, let's say, you're wanting to offer any of these courses, these are what we call the prerequisites or high school requirements. So if a student wants to take BS 21, they need to complete it and pass Algebra 2. Same with Econ 4, Econ 50. English 1A, they need to finish English 11 or English 3, depending on what district you're in. And then some of ours courses have FCC prerequisites. So if they're taking English 1B, they need to take English 1A. Philosophy 2, they need to have had English 1A. With Spanish, if they want Spanish 2, they need to have had Spanish 1. If they wanted, let's see, how's this work? Oh yeah, okay, so either Spanish 1 or 1 year of high school Spanish. This is or, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. Any questions on this? So this will be in the PowerPoint. You'll have this as a reference. Okay, so Vicky's going to go over the teacher vetting process. Did we miss a slide? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, everyone, so the teacher vetting process, we did upload a vetting packet in your team, so it's there for you to distribute to your upcoming potential instructors. And you can go ahead and email it to me through the Dual Enroll email, please, okay? Once I receive that packet, what will happen is I will look at it to make sure that person has a master's completed and that master's has been awarded. If I'm getting the packet and they have not graduated, unfortunately, the deans are not accepting them. They want to make sure that master is completed so that then they can forward to the committee and the instructor can be go through the interview process. Please send me the packet completed. Don't leave areas blank. There is a list right on here that tells you what it is that I need. When they come to me in bits and pieces, I cannot send them forward. So I will email you again and tell you that I'm missing some pieces. Yes.
In the past, we've had to submit official transcripts, so these are in a sealed envelope.
Yes.
And you want us to send you a completed packet digitally, so what do we do with it?
Right, so the digital transcripts are now available through the universities. You need to give them the dual enroll email address to enter on the digital requested. And so the university will send it to us through dual enroll at fresnocitycollege.edu. And I'll go ahead and open it. And once I open it, my district will see my name as the person who received them. And in our office, there are a few of us that are able to do that for HR. So go ahead and have them send it here to dual enroll at fresnocitycollege.edu, and that will be considered official through our HR office. Yes.
So for my Fresno Unified folks that are on the call, we have a separate process in Fresno Unified for teacher vetting. And so I'll be sending that out to all of our sites this week. But we have an internal process before it goes to Fresno City. So please do not have your teachers directly email that to Fresno City because we have departments in Fresno Unified that handle that.
Thank you for that. Because I was just about to announce, unless you have a different set process for your district, those of you who are sending it directly to me, this is where they need to come to. And so if I'm not in the office and Emily's in the office, she can open it up. This way it's not coming directly to my box and I'm out or whatever, and I don't get to it for a while. This way, there'll be 2 or 3 of us watching the inbox. Go ahead. Okay, so Stephen's going to talk a little bit about some of the resources that are available to our students. Our students are college students. So these resources do apply to them. And so I'll let you cover these.
Well, so if you go to fresnocitycollege.edu/dual, DUAL or DUEL, that will take you, once you get to that page, scroll down to the bottom, and these 3 things will come up: the student handbook and the application process and FCC policies, and also staff resources and processes. So you'll want to get familiar with this information so that you're able to help students at your sites. We're not going to get too deep into the resources because that's part of the campus tour afterward. I do want to point out certain resources that are online. So all of your instructors should have access to the virtual hub for faculty. That's super important for them. If they're not familiar with how to use Canvas, they can sign up for Canvas training. They've got other resources here for instructors. And then students, there's a virtual hub for students that they have access to, which will give them training on how to use Canvas.
Hold on a minute. I want to say something here really, really quick. So recently, our requests for online courses through your schools is massive. So lots of you are asking for online courses, and I think that's great. I think it's fantastic because we can reach more students that way. However, students are we're getting questions from the school staff about they can't get into Canvas. How do they get into Canvas? This is perfect if you are doing if you're getting the students together and you're doing an orientation, get familiar with this hub. It is so helpful. So when the students start their Canvas, their online class day 1, they know exactly how to get into their portal, how to get into Canvas and what they can do, how to get a hold of the instructor, where to download everything. So this is really helpful for those of you that are asking me for online classes. During your orientation, this is really helpful.
So when you get this PowerPoint, if you want to explore, click on the image, and it will take you to that portal. But if an instructor has a Canvas course, he can go into his own Canvas course and click on that. Okay, so I just want to mention here, if you are looking to add a course for your high school, you can go to this link right here and look up the course and it'll give you all this information, the course outline of record, and let you know what's in that course. I'll go through here quickly. Here's some troubleshooting if there's technical issues. Here's some information, my portal login help, and then Canvas support. Oops, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I want to emphasize that, we used to send you individual emails to remind you of things, but now either monthly or semi-monthly, we're sending out a newsletter with the important updates. So I know it's tempting, you see a newsletter, oh, it's not important, delete it. No, this is how we are communicating with you folks now. And the reason is it's to reduce the number of emails to your inbox. So if you're only getting an email once or twice a month from us, it cuts down on clutter in your email box. That's where you'll get deadlines, you'll get reminders for teachers and facilitators, and you'll get event notices through the newsletters. And please whitelist our newsletter. That's because that's how we're going to communicate. All right, here's our contact information for dual enrollment and also for high school enrichment. And then afterward, if you want. We will also show you that where we're at the CTC Center, that's temporary. So hopefully by the end of the semester, we're going to be moved to the new Welcome Center. And that's located right here. It's the old district office, right by the new parking structure. So that's going to be the new location of the office of the college. And that's what it looks like right now.
Encourage you to, as you're leaving tonight, to drive down University, see the changes that's coming on child development. So we're growing for you.
If you take a campus tour, Janine is going to go over these resources for you. DSPNS, admissions and records, the library, the Welcome Center, RAM pantry, bookstore, and cafeteria area. And this is really finicky. Okay, so now it's a Q&A with our admissions director, Lorna. I'd like to introduce her to you.
I want to say about the newsletter, we're trying to curate various resources that would be helpful to you and also to your instructors. And I put into that newsletter every instructor that we have, who all are on there, and it's a huge distribution list. So please, if your instructors are coming and saying like, I need help with such and such, you may have them look at the newsletter, because we do put a lot of information in there and highlight different resources that are also available on campus.
Stand here, then they can see her.
Oh, over here, it's better.
Right.
Dr. Bird invited me to come in, and we were talking about this event coming up soon, and I said, it's available if you guys would like me to just come by in case anyone has any questions. So have any?
Maria does.
If you want to say, of course, yes, yeah. The these campus boarders are doing enormous work on it.
So I don't know how long you all have been a part of Dual Enrollment, but I've been a part of this from the very get-go. I want to say 6 years now, 7 years around there.
She's really ROE.
Yes. So every year there has been changes, and we adjust to those changes, make it work for us, because I know this is something that you need from us. And my question is, and I know that I have spoken to Emily, and I believe she connected with you. We manage 200 courses over, well, I manage 200 courses throughout the year. And for us, it's always been hard to meet that deadline of November 17th. Ideally, that's the deadline. But if we can get our students to complete their online application sooner, then October 1st, we're able to meet that deadline because it just allows us more time instead of having to be in that crunch. Because we do have our own staff members going out to the school sites to help with this process. In the beginning, it was just,
There are not fewer students, right?
yes. So I just want to find a way to streamline it so it's easier. So when it comes to you, it's not coming to you November 17th and bam, you have 200. I mean, half of them are with you, so you have 100 sections to do. Because it's challenging for you, but also challenging for us to be able to make sure we.
She wants them to.
When would be, September 1 is when we open it for our teaching students, right? So that's kind of our teaching September 1, everybody started applying. So those are your high school seniors that are going to start applying. We don't want to mix that up with our dual enrollment students. So we said, okay, October 1st, now they have 2 start dates, right? Would it be better, August work for?
August would be fabulous. So even September 1, because we still have within the first 3 weeks of school, we still have a lot of movement. So September 1st would even work for us because that would give us a whole month to start getting them ready and start having them complete the online applications.
Yeah, just the September 1st, because like I said, RTG, that's when our outreach folks start going out to the high schools and helping students do their, I'm going to be a regular high school student next year type of application. And I feel like if they're out there doing both workshops at the same time, it might get confusing.
Well, people don't do my workshops.
Yes.
It's all valid RP, so it wouldn't be confusing for us because we do it individually. So we have for the longest, I know the beginning it was challenging, but we've always done our workshops. So we try not to use the resources that you have because we do know your resources are limited to other school sites. And we fortunately have a team now that can help. Before we didn't have that team, but now we have that. And I know that from the get-go, the resource was always there, but we always tried to handle it because it was always, we work with multiple school sites. And we didn't want to take that.
Our spring, this will be for our spring 23.
So she was, when we had talked about this before, we said apply for fall. And then they would start in the spring.
Right, so if you started in March, having them apply for fall 24, it'll be summer fall.
No, we wouldn't have them apply in March. It's too soon because we never know. Yes, but we never know who we're gonna get the next following school year, so that's our problem. But ideally, if we can have them start either August or that September 1st date, that would be ideal. All of our individuals going out to do workshops are all valid RLP staff, so it wouldn't be confusing to them.
Right. Yeah. We just have to consider district-wide. We're talking Madera, Wrigley, everywhere. But my preference would probably be, if we can, do the August, that way they have their separate starts. I can talk to probably our district-wide matriculation board group. I'll ask to take that recommendation, and I mean, it's all it takes is changing when we open it. But just having everybody be aware that that's going to happen and what other implications that might have. The only thing I can think of is a confusion of outreach going for RTG at the same time as trying to do some dual enrollment workshops. So we want to try to keep those a little bit. So, but I think it's possible. So we'll look forward to that.
Yeah, I don't know if that would help any other districts, just to give more time with the whole onboarding process. We serve 4,000 students, and all those applications and all those rosters and everything, I have to review each and every single one of them. And I do have a team that works with me, but I have to review each one.
I mean, the October 1, March 1 dates for, just kind of trying to stay out of the RTG round, right? Not to step on toes or, so I think as long as we stay out of that, and maybe it's not a big deal now too, so. But I'll shoot for the August date, the earlier the better, right?
Thank you. That will be helpful for a lot of schools.
RTG's the ready to go,
Ready to go.
the Canvas sends giant.
They start, yeah, so we start sending groups to help with application workshops, and that usually starts September 1.
So you'll try to change the date to August 1st and March 1st? January
What
1st?
date makes sense for, so for March, August would be for the upcoming spring. Does March 1st still work for the fall? Is that still okay? For the fall applications?
I don't have any issues with the fall.
So it's just
the spring.
okay.
Yeah, the spring is always challenging.
Okay, we'll leave the spring apps as March 1. We'll just look to see if we can change the fall.
Well,
Spring apps.
our current spring is April 1st.
April 1st. But we haven't had any schools ask for earlier. We've always had schools ask earlier for the October. They always want to start in September or August.
So
Yeah. To get, so that by the holidays, they're done.
Enrolling. So in August 1st, we want to start our application so that they can start spring.
If possible, yeah.
And for March, we'll still leave that so that they'll do their applications for
Summer, fall. Yeah, summer, fall, yeah.
so we'll leave that one as
You
is.
said, it's April 1st for us, not March.
Yeah.
April?
Yeah, you have us down for April 1st, and we haven't had any requests or concerns about that one.
Okay, we'll leave that as is.
If there are, now's the time.
Yeah, let's say now, let's say right now. I don't want next week, Emily.
For scheduling the school side already. It's ready, so.
But it doesn't matter. We need the AB 30 forms.
Correct.
The batch enrollment doesn't happen until almost the day that classes start. So like if the application opened January 1st, you could, as time allows, you could get people enrolled and
Yeah.
get us the AB 30
Well, it might be
forms.
different, like in my situation where I'm really only incoming ninth grade students. And we don't even run our second lottery until like, after spring break. So I don't even have the chance to meet with those students until after spring break anyway. So to try and get them enrolled earlier than that, they're not even in my information system. That's why when you said a mail merge, I was like, I don't have any of their information in our integration system yet, so I can't mail merge anything, right? So.
But you have it, the AB 30 report, they're in the system and provide that to you, so you have that data.
Correct. So is everybody okay with, if we keep it April 1st, is everybody okay if we keep it? Okay.
We had our AB 30 forms, the new one, that's the 2-pager. We had it translated by our departments in Fresno Unified for Spanish and Hmong. Would that be an issue for processing the forms in another language?
We do need to have it in our record language.
Right.
But if you're translating it and they're, just so that they can view it, but then fill out the English.
Oh, okay.
The signature has to be.
That's what we're gonna have to produce when we're meeting with the auditors.
Okay. They won't accept a Spanish or a Hmong version of the form.
There any opportunity?
I'm happy to share that so that any of
Fresno
you
City,
like want to
on like the Fresno City letterhead and everything, is that something that you all would be able to provide since we do have such a large number of students who are Spanish speaking families or Hmong speaking families?
We provide one that is in.
Yeah, I mean, it by state center. The reason is because we have a lot of families who are monolingual in a different language and they don't understand what they're signing. And so just to provide clarity and to build trust with our communities, if we could have forms I have them translated and done by Fresno Unified. I just don't want to go through all the trouble with my sites of getting them filled out and then getting them kicked back. So that's why I bring it up today. So I think that if parents know what they're signing in their home language and it's the exact same verbiage, just translated, I think that would be a good step in the right direction in terms of as we expand for enrollment and providing equity and building trust with community partners. So just something to think about, but I would like to roll it out in the fall.
Attachment,
You just attach the English one to the one that they signed. That might be sufficient.
Sure, like a front.
Yeah, it's just, so my experience with the translated forms, just to give you an example, as a nursing counselor, I had to provide both. I had to provide the translated and the English to the auditors, just because this is what they signed. But I think you have a valid point. I don't know if that's something the district's willing to look at, but.
So both of the sides.
Unfortunately for me, I had to provide both when I was audited, because the student was signing in their language and then the English, so I just had to provide both.
To clarify, you're saying that she would need to provide the translated signed copy and the English copy signed as well.
That's what I have to do, but not.
And the different languages could be attached when you share the form with families.
Is that something that could potentially be discussed in the A&R meetings that happen at the district level? To see if that's something that maybe the district would be open to?
It's come up before, not specifically with this, but other forms, and that was the answers. We have to turn in the English version that's signed.
Okay.
Maybe things have changed now, I can ask again. Because normally what we would do is have them fill out both of them or just attach, whatever we're providing are the instructions to the findings for the signers, so that they know information, but if that's, you're basically we're giving them extra paperwork for them to look at. They only have to fill out the English one, but having both to look at and know where to sign doesn't work. I'll ask it again.
Okay. So that way you have them present. I'll send them to you today.
It is an equity thing.
Right.
We're thinking about it. Yeah. That's
Well, it's one page and then it's one page front and back.
And it might be sufficient that maybe we provide our English form with the calculated to the auditors, and if they'll accept that. They are visiting us soon in April, so.
Okay.
So we bring it out to them too.
Sure.
Well, and that kind of maybe brings up like an extension of that question, which is, a lot of the information that you all have provided about dual enrollment, is there plans to have that translated so that we can provide it to our families? That
we don't have the same resources that you have access to on our end. We don't have translation services even within our district.
Okay. So maybe as a collaborative group here, if people are getting things translated and are willing to share that,
that would be fantastic.
Can we create that as like a best practice where maybe it gets sent to you all and it can be distributed to everybody else? Because we also maybe don't have the same resources or availability to get things translated too.
Something that Fresno Unified could do, just because we're such a large district. If there's anything that we can do, we are happy to be a collaborative partner. Sometimes we do have other departments that smaller districts just don't have access to, so I'm happy to vouch for that.
Great. It's fantastic. Yeah, the dual enrollment handbook might be a little bit of a lofty goal, but I'm trying to think if there are specific pieces of information that we provide to our families about dual enrollment, then those would be the things that we would want to get.
So as I come across infographics like the Ed Trust, I sent that with the newsletter too, because they had in Spanish like infographic about what are the benefits of dual enrollment. So as you find resources, whether they're homegrown or we come across them, and let me know, and I can help share that in the newsletter. That's what the newsletter is meant to. I think a repository of these resources.
That's a good start is that 80-30 form, because it really lays out like the parameters of participation in dual enrollment. And so I think the parents need to be very clear on that, because that's determining whether their kid remains eligible for the college classes or not. So reading that in their home language is probably going to help them understand how to support their kid through staying enrolled in a college.
Jean, one of our partners at Central, wrote in, I'm in Central Unified, and I would love to access sources created by President.
All the fields. Yeah, I mean, this is what the collaborative is about, K-60 Collaborative. We all have limited resources, and when we come together and share them, that makes for stronger programs for us all. Thanks, Jane.
Lynette said thanks, Donna.
Brittany, you had another question. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but there was another question you had.
It was about 8th graders filling out an AB.
Oh, yeah. So,
the date.
The date on the AB 30 form.
If we are starting to move forward with providing the AB 30 form during your 8th grade registration, getting ready for the 9th grade school year. How many years would you accept that form? So our students don't end up taking a dual enrollment class until possibly their sophomore, junior, or their junior, senior year. So it may be a form that's 2 years old, for example. Would you accept a form that is 2 years old?
Well, they're turning it in now, but they're not taking their first class until 2 years.
They're on the pathway. That's the start of their pathway.
So their start of their pathway is 9th grade. However, the dual enrollment class is not until their 11th grade, for example.
So my thought was already, when the student registers for high school, why not just have the parent fill all that out then? And then
When
if
it
they
falls within that
participate or
time,
not.
it falls within that time period, right?
Yes.
Like if it's signed in for the fall and spring, or what fall, whatever spring. Whatever, if it falls within that time, the date that.
Well,
Is that my understanding?
as long as it's between their high school years.
Right.
So if in 8th grade, they say 9th grade, I'm starting this pathway. Maybe they don't end up enrolling, but they already have the permission to. And it's good for that full 4 years of their high school, or they're on the 5-year plan.
Oh, it's awesome.
I just add it to their registration for high school and they're all set.
And one thing that I'm playing with at maybe our school site is when a student is struggling academically, I wanted to try to protect them from before they get put on academic probation by the college to maybe like pause their dual enrollment. So making sure that this is accurate. If I pause them for a semester and their GPA improves and go to re-enroll them, they do not need to refill out the application because it was only one semester that they paused.
Correct.
2 or more.
If it's 2, then I have to.
Okay.
2 is okay. If it goes to the 3rd, then they have to reapply. Okay.
And it's not the full application for the beginning, right? It's an update.
It's an update mostly, so
They re-log in.
They
Most
log in.
information is saved.
it's the residency section that they're gonna have to fill out again. And then maybe the supplemental page, which we're looking at shortening anyway. For the most part, their personal info, all that's the state of their education.
Saved on because of their. Okay. Cool.
That's all your burning A&R questions. Thank you so much.
Yeah, hearing it right from the top. Thank you.
You need to go in there. That's the good piece. I do not want to take those out. Like you're required.
Take a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys. An extra couple. Sorry, so, thank you so much. Oh, okay. Evaluation. Oh, yes. So, when you're going to get emails, thank you for coming. It's gonna have an evaluation, QR and you got that here. Yeah, but the fun's not over. Janine is here and is very happy to give you a campus tour and show you the different places. This is something that I'd love to be able to do with our high school students. eventually we bring it here, so I think.
You know, we can show you the little nooks and crannies of the.
Put online, questions for you, not
That I have checked out.
Let's stop the.
thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.